Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something important, sustainability.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and we've got some interesting angles to look at it from today.
Exactly. We have this guide, 12 ways to live more sustainably. Pretty practical stuff.
hmm And then there's this piece on sustainable lifestyle PR, so how companies talk about this.
And finally, zero waste solutions and sustainable living. So kind of the bigger picture on waste.
Right, so we're looking at individual actions, brand communication, and those broader zero waste ideas.
Our goal really is to pull out the practical advice, the stuff you can actually use, and understand how brands, well, how they should be talking about it authentically.
Without getting bogged down, yeah. Find those key takeaways, maybe some surprising bits.
Okay, let's kick off with those 12 ways. The first one that grabbed me was simple. Think twice before shopping.
It sounds simple, but it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me more. It's more than just the cost, right?
Oh, absolutely. The source really digs into the whole footprint. Think about the materials, where they come from.
The manufacturing.
Exactly. The energy used, the pollution generated, the
Yeah.
packaging. It all adds up.
It's easy to forget all that when you just see the item on the shelf.
Totally. And the guide makes a great point about longevity. Like, using a piece of clothing for just 9 months longer, that can cut its carbon footprint by, what, 20–30%?
Wow, that much.
Yeah. So it's not just if you buy, but do you need it? And could you get it secondhand? That's a big part of it, too.
Okay, that makes sense. Which leads nicely into number 2, ditch plastic and switch to reuse. The stats on ocean plastic are just scary.
They really are. The guide says 13 million tons a year, annually.
14 million. And it's harming wildlife directly.
Yeah, it's devastating. Seabirds, turtles, mammals
Yeah.
getting tangled or eating it. It's grim.
So the solutions are pretty straightforward.
Well, it's simple in concept, right? Reusable bags, consistently using them.
Right, not just owning them, but remembering them.
Exactly. Reusable water bottles. Choosing stuff with less packaging, like loose fruit and veg. Every little bit helps avoid adding to that pile.
Okay. Point 3, take extinction off your plate. This one connects food choices directly to biodiversity.
It does. The source highlights how resource-intensive meat production is. The water use, pollution, emissions.
Habitat loss too, right?
Big time. So leaning more towards plant-based options, that's framed as a really powerful individual action.
And food waste is part of this too.
Oh, definitely. The guide mentions nearly 40% of food gets wasted in the U.S. 40%. Reducing that is massive.
Wow. Okay, number 4, simplify the holidays. I think a lot of us feel that pressure to consume more during holidays.
Yeah, and the numbers back it up, like 23% more waste in the U.S. in December. It's not just wrapping paper either.
It's the gifts, the decorations.
All of it, the sheer volume of stuff. So the guide suggests alternatives, like using natural decorations you find outside.
Or homemade gifts, secondhand.
Exactly. And plant-based meals, reusable plates, focusing more on the gathering, less on the stuff.
Makes sense. Number 5 is choose organic. People often debate this one, the cost versus benefit.
Right. But the source points to the sheer amount of pesticides used 2 billion pounds a year in the U.S. alone.
2 billion.
Yeah. And that impacts wildlife, water, soil, even our food. So choosing organic is presented as a way to lessen that harm.
And gardening helps too.
Definitely. Especially using native plants, things that help pollinators. It's about creating healthy little ecosystems, you know?
Right in your backyard. Okay, 6, ditch fast fashion and animal-based textiles. Fast fashion's impact is huge, isn't it?
It's enormous. The source puts it at around 10% of global carbon emissions. That's massive for one industry.
And it also mentions issues with things like wool.
Yeah, the environmental costs associated with some animal textiles. So the advice is pretty practical. Care for the clothes you have.
Repair them.
Repair them. Shop secondhand. Look for sustainable materials like organic cotton or tencel. Just stepping off that constant buy new treadmill.
Okay. Number 7, be water-wise. Feels increasingly important.
It really is, especially with population growth and more droughts. The tips are things we mostly know, but maybe don't always do.
Like shorter showers.
Shorter showers, fixing leaks quickly, maybe low-flow fixtures if you can.
What about landscaping?
Good point. Xeriscaping using drought-resistant plants. That can save a lot of water, especially in dry areas. And again, animal agriculture comes up for its water footprint. It's all connected.
It really is. Okay, 8, drive less, drive green. Transportation is a big chunk of emissions for many people.
Undeniably. Fossil fuels, air quality, climate change. So, the alternatives are key. Walking, biking for short trips.
Carpooling, public transport.
All of that.
Yeah.
And if you do drive, keep your car maintained. Proper tire inflation helps fuel efficiency.
Yeah,
And EVs are obviously part of that green driving picture too.
right. Number 9, green your home, making our living spaces more efficient.
Yeah, simple things can make a big difference. Better insulation is huge.
Energy-saving windows, smart thermostats.
Exactly. Efficient lighting, like LEDs.
Mm.
And then bigger steps, like switching to a green energy supplier if that's an option, or even looking into solar panels.
Okay, 10 is a bit heavier. Boycott products that endanger wildlife.
Yeah, this goes beyond just the obvious illegal trade in endangered species.
How so?
Well, the guide points out that demand for certain products can destroy habitats, harming species that aren't even officially listed as endangered yet.
So it's about conscious choices.
Very much so. Looking for sustainable materials, like bamboo is mentioned. And being aware of things like, say, restaurants serving endangered fish like bluefin tuna, using your buying power.
Got it. 11 is complex. Fight for the right to choose when and if to start a family.
It is complex, but the source connects population growth and, importantly, consumption levels directly to environmental pressures.
So it's about access.
It emphasizes the importance of reproductive health access, rights, justice, and gender equity. These are framed as factors that influence family size and ultimately our collective environmental impact. It's presented matter-of-factly as part of the sustainability picture.
Okay. And finally, 12. Take action. Use your voice. Moving beyond just individual habits.
Yeah, because system change is crucial too, right? So getting involved politically.
Voting, supporting policies.
Exactly. Voting for candidates who prioritize environmental issues, supporting good policies, donating to environmental groups if you can,
Yeah.
and just talking about it, raising awareness in your own circles.
That's a really solid list of individual actions. Now let's shift gears a bit to the sustainable lifestyle PR source. How are brands supposed to navigate this?
Well, the landscape has really shifted, hasn't it? Consumers expect sustainability now. It's not just a nice to have.
So no more greenwashing, just saying you're green.
Exactly. This source stresses that it has to be real. Transparency, responsibility baked into how the company actually operates, not just marketing fluff.
It talks about understanding the sustainable consumer. Who are they?
Well, it's not just one group, but millennials and Gen Z are often highlighted as being particularly driven by these values.
What kinds of values?
Things like environmental protection, ethical consumption, fairness, maybe minimalism. They want brands that align with that.
But they're skeptical.
Very. They have a sharp eye for greenwashing, so authenticity is absolutely critical. They want proof, not just promises.
So how does a brand build that authentic, sustainable narrative the article mentions?
It has to come from the core, be part of the brand's actual mission and practices.
Not just a campaign.
Right. Grounded in real actions. Share the journey, the challenges too, not just the wins. Be transparent even about where you need to improve.
And show the benefits.
Yes. For the consumer, for the planet. Use proof like certifications, partnerships, tell the story in different ways, videos, blogs, data.
So talk is cheap. The next part is elevating authenticity through action. What does that look like?
It means showing, not just telling. Documenting your efforts. Using real data. How much recycled material did you use? How much did you cut emissions by?
Case studies, third-party proof.
Exactly. Getting endorsements from trusted groups, getting involved in the community, running programs customers can participate in, like take-back schemes, and being upfront about difficulties. That builds trust.
What about influencers? The article covers collaboration with sustainability influencers and advocates. Is that effective?
It can be, if it's done right. The key is finding influencers who are genuinely knowledgeable and passionate about sustainability and whose values truly match the brand's.
Not just paying someone to hold a product.
Definitely not. It's about their credibility. So co-creating educational content, maybe partnering on initiatives, working with advocacy groups, that can really amplify the message authentically.
And where should brands be sharing all this? The piece talks about communication channels and content strategies.
It's about being where the conversation is happening. Relevant platforms, maybe specific blogs, social media groups. The content needs to be more than just ads.
Educational, inspiring.
Yeah. Success stories, how-to guides, maybe infographics that make complex stuff easy to grasp. Storytelling is huge. Interactive stuff like quizzes can work too. Video is powerful.
User-generated content.
That can be great too. Shows real people engaging. And consistency is key. Regular updates, keeping the conversation going.
Community engagement seems important too, under engaging with the community.
Absolutely. It shows the commitment goes beyond just the business itself. Things like organizing local cleanups, running workshops.
Partnering with local groups.
Yes, supporting local eco-initiatives. It builds real connections. And tailoring the message to local issues makes it more relevant.
But how do you know if any of this is working? Measuring impact.
Crucial. You need to define what success looks like, your KPIs. Is it engagement, website visits, actual sales?
So using analytics tools.
Definitely. And surveys, getting direct feedback, listening to what people are saying online, social listening, tracking media coverage, then using all that data to tweak your strategy.
It sounds like there are pitfalls, though. Challenges in sustainable PR. Greenwashing is a big one, right?
Huge. The best defense is hard evidence, verifiable claims, being consistent and honest even when it's tough.
Keeping up with standards, educating consumers.
All challenges. Standards evolve. Consumers might not understand the nuances. And there's always that tension between profit and purpose. Brands have to navigate that carefully.
And what's coming next? Emerging trends.
Well, things like ecotech are advancing fast. There's more demand than ever for transparency, like where exactly did this come from?
Circular economy focus.
Big time. More collaboration, more personalization, and basically sustainability becoming the baseline expectation, not an optional extra. Data storytelling is getting more important too, making the impact clear.
That's a fascinating look at the brand side. Okay, let's move to our final source. Zero waste solutions and sustainable living. What exactly is zero waste? It sounds ambitious.
It is ambitious. The official definition from the Zero Waste International Alliance is pretty comprehensive. It's about conserving resources through responsible production, consumption, reuse, recovery.
Without burning or discharges?
Exactly. No discharges to land, water, or air that harm health or the environment. It's a whole system approach, really, aiming to eliminate waste as much as possible.
The article mentions a zero waste hierarchy or value hill. What's that about?
It's a framework that prioritizes actions. It's not just about recycling at the bottom. The top priority is rethink, redesign.
Designing things differently from the start.
Right. For durability, repair, easy recycling.
Yeah.
Then comes just consuming less, maybe sharing things more.
Then reuse.
Yep. Keeping things in use longer, repairing, secondhand. They recycle compost. And finally, material recovery for stuff that can't be handled higher up. It's about keeping value for as long as possible.
So what are some real-world zero-waste solutions? Examples?
Well, for companies, it could be designing modular phones like Fairphone, where parts are easily replaced.
Or rental services, like for cups or containers.
Exactly. Sharing models like car rentals, offering good warranties and repair services, investing in better recycling tech, promoting composting.
And for individuals, how do we use these solutions?
We participate, right? Use those reusable cup systems. Buy products with good warranties that are built to last. Sort or recycling properly. Choose compostable options where appropriate.
The article lists 10 zero-waste products. Some are surprising, like ugly fruit and veg.
Yeah, that directly fights food waste.
Yeah.
It's a great list because it mixes things up. Secondhand clothes, obviously.
Home compost bins.
Compostable straws, though, prevention is even better. Paper wrap soap instead of plastic bottles.
Stainless steel tableware. Modular phones.
Yep. Burlap sacks for shopping. Reusable cups against steel, silicone, compostable ones, even handkerchiefs instead of tissues. It's about rethinking disposables.
And how does all this connect to the really big picture, like climate change? The article says zero waste as a solution to climate change.
It's a direct link. Think about all the energy and emissions involved in extracting raw materials, manufacturing products, transporting them, and then dealing with the waste, often in landfills that produce methane.
So less waste means fewer emissions.
Fundamentally, yes. Shifting to a circular model where we keep resources in use and minimize waste tackles a huge source of greenhouse gases and resource depletion. It addresses the problem upstream.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really wide-ranging deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from those individual 12 ways to live more sustainably.
Right, the power of everyday choices, shopping, eating, travel.
To how brands need to communicate authentically about their efforts, avoiding that greenwashing trap.
Yeah, the importance of real action, transparency, and data.
And finally, digging into the whole philosophy and practical solutions of zero waste.
Moving towards that circular model, minimizing resource use right across the board.
So some key things to remember are the impact of our conscious choices, the absolute need for transparency from businesses, not just claims.
And the real potential in shifting towards a more circular, less wasteful way of doing things.
So thinking about how all these things connect What we buy, what brands tell us, how we handle waste. Here's something to ponder. What's maybe one single shift you could make in your daily life? Or one expectation you now have for the brands you buy from that you think could actually create the biggest positive ripple effect for sustainability?
It's a good question to reflect on, and we really encourage you to look back at those 12 ways. Maybe check out some brands you think are doing a good job telling their sustainability story, or find ones that need to improve.
And maybe investigate what zero waste initiatives are happening near you.
Definitely. Look for local reuse systems, see which companies are being transparent about their journey. There's a lot happening out there.